Hey everyone, and welcome! It is Friday, which means it is time for another paint and slay here on Idol Champions, and we're
Oh
gonna
my
be.
God, we're
Oh
gonna
my
do a paint
god,
and
I
slay!
cannot wait
Yay!
to do this paint and slay. I have been waiting for this all week long. I cannot tell you, I have just been overjoyed and switching even a little bit about it because I'm all worked up and excited.
Well, yeah, how could you not be excited
I
about our little
tell me,
beholder boy?
I
Oh,
mean, look
it
at
makes
this
me so
one.
verklempt. I'm just so happy.
I adore, and I actually a name came to me the other night for what this one's gonna be. Meet Electrum Wise. We're going with Electrum
Oh,
Wise for this fellow. I thought it's just too perfect with it being close to Halloween, and Pennywise is floating around out there. I think this one's Electrum Wise.
oh, that's adorable. Oh, I love it. Now, I
Isn't it
haven't come
great?
up with a name for mine yet, but
Oh,
maybe everybody in chat are gonna
I
be able to help with that.
they
Yeah,
were
names
quite
are hard.
helpful. Oh, they are hard. And they're so much better when people can kind of contribute and add in the 2 cents for this type of thing, especially because then we had Socrawl a lot and Crolita for the other ones, which let me tell you,
That was
those are primo.
adorable.
Oh, I loved that. I loved that
Yeah.
so much.
Chat is so good at coming up with names. How you
Chat's
doing,
great.
Chat?
Hi, chat.
Yeah. Oh, and you know who also is super good? Our moderators. Yeah.
Oh,
So we got Martin right now. Hi, Martin. Oh,
Martin, you
you're a
darling.
doll. You're just wonderful. And then we're
Just
gonna
gotta
have Mars in a little bit, but like he deserves a break.
yeah,
He just had this awesome
needs to
show
get
that he
some
just did.
food. You don't want Mars getting cranky because they're getting that hypoglycemia kicking in.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the
It's
worst.
terrible.
Absolutely. No, no.
Yeah,
Well,
get a
but
little
today
coffee. Make sure you have your bagel with it and your lox and cream. You're all good there.
oh, you've no idea how much I've missed bagels with a schmear. It'd be so nice right now.
I
Oh.
might have to bring some out for you soon.
Ah, that'd be the best. That'd be the best.
Well, there you go.
I will do this accent
I
all
could keep
all
going.
show,
That's the problem.
but chat just got quiet like they have no idea what's going on.
Sorry.
There's just this moment of
Deet, 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 deet. Hi, chat.
okay. Thank you, real bunny bees. People are like, oh, I love the accents, but
Yes.
we're not gonna accent.
No,
We're just gonna
no,
we're
no, no,
gonna
no.
accent this guy is what we're gonna
We
do.
are. We're going to add some details and accents to our fantastic beholder that we have kit bashed from last week. So, in case you missed it last week, let's talk about what we're seeing here. And I almost said talk about. I'll be careful.
I was hoping you were gonna talk about it. Let's talk about a
let's
little
talk.
beholder baby here.
So, basically, what we did, and it's called green stuff, which is essentially a putty that you can mold and shape and attach onto your miniatures to give them different looks. And it's from Army Painter. It's called green stuff because you mix yellow and blue together and it makes green. When it's green, that means it's ready to use and attach to your minis. So what we did to our lovely beholders is we attached a ruffled collar to look like this fellow over here. And we also added a nose, a little clown nose, which we'll probably get to next week in terms of color and everything like that, as well as these jester caps that we added on top. Lauren was able to get those fun little poof balls put on the ends for hers. I opted to just go with straight pointed tips on that one for mine, but we managed to get in a few points for the hats. It's one of those things where because the eye socks are sort of more in position with the miniature, we can't quite get the effect that's happening here, but we are definitely nodding to that one. And in case you don't know who that is the Xanathar.
I mean, it's the
You know,
Xanathar as
yes,
told by
yeah.
kids.
Exactly. And I love the fact that we're having some fun with this particular beholder, with the kit bashing, amping them up. One thing you'll notice is that Lauren and I both went in and we primed the green stuff that is on the beholder already, just for sake of time so we can get to paint it. Because when you put primer on, you do want to make sure it has a chance to dry a little bit. However, when we were done putting some green stuff onto our beholders, we did have enough left over to make little cotton candy swirls. So what we'll do today is to show you how we primed and to show you a different option for primer if for some reason you are just starting out and you don't have set and ready primer at hand. There is a little trick you can do with the Mod Podge Ultra that I talk about pretty much every single episode to act as a primer on your miniatures. It's actually really great for green stuff. It's also fantastic for 3D print miniatures of the plastic variety, not necessarily the resin forms. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. So we're going to prime our cotton candy because then what we can do is put it off to the side and it'll have time to dry because we won't be painting it until next week. But after the cotton candy priming, we're going to jump into the painting of our beholder. So it's going to be a fun day. We're going to get some color going and everything like that. So
I'm excited.
I'm super duper excited. So what I'm going to do
Well,
is
while you do
let
that,
you
I'm gonna
Yeah.
prep a few things with the audience. So for those of you who are new, we are in the middle of doing the Clown Xanathar Beholder, which we are going to be painting to look like the creature that you can find in Witchlight in the Tall Tales adventure, in specifically area 35 or so. They're one of the boss monsters. If you are new and you would like to join us in painting along, you can find on our Discord the list of all of the stuff that we are going to be using. Oh, we're V's got the game
Yeah,
showing
I
up. So
popped
here,
the
let
game
me
up.
let me back up here to 35. Whoops.
Whoa,
I'm
that's
jumping
impressive.
past all sorts of areas. Um so we'll come back here so we can get the Xanathar to show up. And you can come to our Discord, discord.gg/idle champions. We list off in the Paint and Slay channel all of the wonderful things that you can that you need in order to join us. I will be using all of the stuff. There they are. There's
I
Xanathar.
love it.
They're adorable. They're
It's too
wonderful.
much fun.
They're amazing. I mean,
Yes.
that nose, that jingly hat, it's amazing. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where you can find them. I will be using all of the stuff that is recommended in our channel. So if you are following along and a new mini painter like me, then I will be using all the same stuff. V will be using some other fun things and giving some other suggestions for things to
Yeah.
try. If you do have any questions, go ahead and put question in all caps in the chat so that our wonderful moderators can grab them and put them in our backstage document. Because while I'm going to try to keep an eye on chat, I'm also having to keep an eye on Cotton Candy. And finally, if you are interested in catching up with what we've already done or doing some of the other minis that we've already done, all these episodes end up on our YouTube channel. And so you can go and watch and see and definitely post about if you do your own carrion crawler or if you do your own
Myconids.
beholder or
Yeah.
myconid or your own beholder kit bashing or just a regular beholder. So
Yay.
with all of that out of the way, let us Mod Podge.
Okay, cool. So basically, if you want to do a DIY primer, and like I said, this is fantastic for if you're doing green stuff and also if you're doing 3D minis. I find these work really well for primer. I just took some basic white paint. Now I'm using the model line from Vallejo. It's not saying you have to. I am actually going to speak mostly in general color terms, not in specific color terms. Because I want to make sure everyone feels like they can use whatever paint they have on hand. So I'm going to take my white, and I've already put it in just a little container. If you have a paper plate, that is still totally cool to mix it onto that. I just have this little plastic device ready because I wanted to show you how this stuff can work options wise. So you can see it has a spray pump action. You do want to make sure with this that you shake. There's always a lot of shaking with painting. There's always a lot of shaking.
This is how you get your arm workout.
Yeah,
Is you just shaking.
Shake. So now what I'm going to do is just do a quick little squirt. So there's a little bit there. And I'm just going to basically take my paintbrush and mix it up with the white paint. And what that Mod Podge Ultra does is it kind of switches it into more of a primer for your paint, as opposed to just keeping the paint as is, because it has this varnish quality to it, which helps it adhere better to the plastic. So that is one of the reasons why I am a huge fan, and I will constantly keep talking about Mod Podge Ultra. It's one of my go-to supplies in my crafting arsenal.
Okay.
So once that's mixed together, it's pretty easy to mix too. It's just quickly get that on there. You can also take that squirt part off, and if you wanted to make a bigger batch of this, you can actually pour the liquid of the Ultra into a smaller container with some paint. So it'd be more like 3 parts paint to 1 part Mod Podge Ultra. And then you can sort of have a ready-to-go primer bottle for yourself if you want to mix ahead of time. But again, like I said before, make sure you shake that too because they will separate a little bit. But once you have it all mixed, you're just going to go in and paint your cotton candy.
Hey.
Yeah.
And are we worried about like the thickness or just make sure you get coverage?
Make sure you get coverage. You do want to make sure it doesn't pool too much in those little ridged areas because that might happen a little bit because this is slightly more liquefied than standard paint just by the nature of adding a runnier liquid to the paint itself, just like if you're adding water. I find doing thinner coats and going back in and doing another coat, you get better, more consistent results. So I'm going to do a thin coat around, and probably within a minute or two, this will be ready for a second coat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But you want to let it cure for a few hours before you go in and start painting.
Which is why we have a beholder already
Exactly.
taken care of, ready in the oven.
Yeah, because it can't be like, let's prime the beholder and then let's talk for an hour or two.
I mean, we
We
can.
can, that we could. We
I
do.
mean, I have no problem hanging out with you and just chatting for an
Me
entire
either.
hour, but it's also fun to chat with you while doing the painting.
Exactly.
So, all
Multitasking.
right. I
So
think
yeah.
I got pretty good coverage
Hmm.
here. No.
So just gets it. Yep. And the thing is, you will, with the green stuff, keep this in mind, you will see shades of it kind of peeking through when you go to prime it. Uh, it will go away as you put more color onto it. It's just because that green is such an intense green. Yes, when you first go to prime it, you will see little hints and streaks of it here and there, which is why I tend to do 2 coats, like I will show you here. My beholder has 2 coats on the cap and on the nose as opposed to the one. So you can see the difference there. This has a little bit more streaking happening. This one has more consistent paint coverage. And of course, my finger just caught. I'm going to put you right there. I don't think, because you also used a toothpick, right?
Yes.
I don't think we're going to need to prime the toothpick, to be honest, because there's a fun trick with wash that we can do with wooden items,
Ah, okay.
which is a
Yeah,
little
well, and
terrain trick.
that's
Yeah.
and the toothpick is already a wood stick, which is
Yeah.
already what is a cotton candy stick. So,
Exactly. So we're just going to enhance the wood stick next week. I'm going to bring in a crafting technique for everyone, even though it's mini painting.
ooh,
Ooh, we're getting fancy. So I'm actually starting to dry enough already where I'm going to put in another thin layer. And
yeah.
then I'm going to set this down, preferably on a plastic surface. So I will use my little protective cover over my lovely pad with Idle Champions on it. And just let the cotton candy hang out and dry while we move on to more fun painting with colors.
Hey.
Yeah.
And now that there's Mod Podge on this
Mm-hmm.
paintbrush,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything in specific we need to be careful about when cleaning it, or is water just fine?
Water will be okay for now, but you will want to make sure that you go in with a little bit of a solution where you take some dish soap and warm water and just swish your brush around a little bit in there, because with the varnish aspect to it, it will be a little bit more tenacious in rinsing.
Okay.
So I have found that like Dawn, if I can mention brands, Dawn is really great for stripping paint off paintbrushes. That one
Hmm.
I will use. I'll do like a fun little mix. You can also do white vinegar added into the
Oh,
water too. I'm
yeah.
sorry. That's like a go-to for
It's the
any type of
go-to.
cleaning.
Oh, yes.
So I'm just letting this dry slightly more before I go in and put this down.
Yeah, it
But
is amazing. I am not necessarily someone who wants to have the like all natural cleaning products. I do think
mm-hmm.
science can help with
Oh, it
cleaning,
does.
but it is amazing how having some white vinegar around to like clean out your dishwasher or clean out your
Yeah.
washing machine or add to things that you're trying that have like the natural
Mm-hmm.
bristles like makeup brushes or stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is amazing how well that all works.
It really is. I mean, it's actually technically like a fabric softener too. When
Is
you go,
it?
yes, because that's what I'll use when I want to add fabric softener to my clothes, because I have some seriously sensitive skin.
Mm.
So yeah, it helps like just get things a little bit cleaner, and I mean, heck, it's reasonable in cost too. Okay, so
Yeah.
my cotton candy is gonna live right over there for funsies, and now we're gonna have some fun getting into painting our
Yay.
clown beholder, who I will set right there. Oh, there are my notes. I have my little cheat sheet just so I can remember what I want to make sure I'm hitting on. So we're going to start with red and black for
And I
this.
forgot to put. I know this is a beholder being a lot bigger, but I still
Mm,
kind of want to put it on my
go for it. I have, yeah.
on my pill bottle because I feel like I do better when I have something I can hold on to,
Mm-hmm.
and the mini is far enough up that
Ooh,
I'm not just like leaning down into it. Is that
that. What
so
happened?
I just saw chat and Wiggins wants to know if this is Tang. First
Tang?
off, no, but now I
Tang.
need to get some Tang.
Oh, I
Second off,
miss Tang.
uh, so what I've been trying to do to avoid the drinking out of the cup that I'm using to clean my brushes or put my
Mm-hmm.
brush into a cup that I'm trying to drink out of is make sure that my drinking cup is completely different than my water cups. And so not only do I use the glass, but I've been having juice. So this is actually just low sugar mango juice. But
I
I totally
Love
can
it.
see why you would think that is Tang.
I love it. Okay,
Okay, let me.
so we're gonna mix red and black together because we want to make a dark red. Because what we're doing is we're working sort of inside out with the beholder. So we're actually gonna start right in the. Come on, any DM has used this phrase, gaping maw.
Gaping maw.
So we're
You're
gonna
gonna be right to the
start in the
gaping maw.
gaping maw of our lovely beholder's mouth. So we want to make a darker red. We don't want it to be this bright fire engine cherry red or Irish red, we could even call it. So I'm going to put the red and black next to each other because you've seen me do this before. I will bring the darker color to the color I'm trying to get darkened. So I'm going to take a brush, and I am using the wet palette because I have played around with it a little bit more, and I realized what I need to do because of the way I mix paints is I have a mixing paintbrush and a painting paintbrush. So I can actually use this wet palette now. But you'll see Lauren will also still be using the go-to paper plates because those work out just as well in my book too for, just starting out budget-friendly reasons. But I was generously given this.
Also for very
wet
easy
palette.
cleaning
Yes.
because I just take the entire paper plate and I'm like, thank you for your service.
Right?
Bonk, into the recycling.
And I'll even save the paper plates so I have color references for later if I need to mix a paint up again. So I brought a few drops of this black to the red.
And what paintbrush are we going to be using? Because I do not have a mixing and
We are going to be using a number 3 for this.
That's a 2. That's my 3. There we go.
Okay, don't do what I just did. I brought too much black over, so I'm going to put another dollop of red on. But that's okay, because honestly, we're going to need a lot of this paint.
Well, and while you're doing that, Kiwi Mischief wants to know what is Tang, which, you know what? I totally get why some people would not know what Tang is. It is essentially a powder that you add to water to make a juice. It was orange. And I mean that in both color and in what it was supposed to taste like, but it was it was very, very popular in the 80s and 90s because it was one of those, it's a space program food.
Yeah.
And it was cheap and fun. It's just basically powdered sugar with a little bit of orange flavoring in it.
Yep.
And then Haggis Bun says this will all work out until painting something orange. Well.
Oh, this is a true theory.
Yeah, we will find out. Okay, let me get
not wrong
some black in my red.
Yep, make sure it's less. Don't do what I did. Less black and it's more red. It's still gonna work out on my end. It's totally fine.
Oh yeah, there we go.
And again, if you're new, what I try and do with mixing paints is I try and work off primary colors, black, white, and brown, because those are readily accessible for everyone, and kind of teaching you how to mix your colors as you go. Because a lot of the misconception is like, oh, I have to make sure that I am getting these massive kits and everything like that. And I know a few people get intimidated by that. And I want to make sure that it's clear. It's like, you don't have to have those big kits. You can start off with just 6 colors and get a taste for everything before you devote more time and finances into your hobby. So just a little caveat there for everyone.
Yep. And if you come to our Discord to check out the list of supplies, you'll see that the paints that I'm using, it is a small set of paints, but it is basically just a whole bunch of basic colors with like 2 different kinds of brown. There is an orange in there, and there's like a silver and a gold, it looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just do a ton of mixing, and it's great.
Yeah.
And that was a very inexpensive set.
Yeah, I think it was like 29 or something like that for the whole.
Yeah, something like that. For basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it's 16 paints, and they're nice size bottles, and this is going to be good for tons and tons of minis.
Yeah.
All right, we're painting.
We are painting inside the mouth. So this means the tongue, the back of the throat, all around, and don't worry about getting the teeth. I'm going to tell you this right now. There is no way you can paint this without hitting teeth. It's going to happen. It's why the teeth are going to be addressed next week.
Okay.
So this is just making sure you get this color into the mouth in every nook and cranny possible. But what you're going to do is you're going to stop painting it when you get to these. Oh, don't lose the mini.
Don't lose the mini. I apparently didn't push it hard enough onto my top, and it just went. Let me work on that again. I'm sorry, you were saying, but be totally careful.
Cool. Be careful. You don't want to. I mean, if it happens like little streaks and whatever, that's fine. But what you don't want to do is like full painting on what's happening here around the mouth, where you see like this pull of a tendon, and then these larger scales that are going around the mouth. We're gonna leave those alone. So this is gonna go inside the mouth, onto the gums. There's even this little tendony, I guess you'd call those tendons, or like lip strain. I don't know what to call that part of the body. But
It's a
that will,
beholder. Whatever you
yeah,
call it is correct. Like, it's a made up creature. So
there we
yeah,
go.
I'll go tendony.
So the tendony lip flaps. So that will get this color too, as well as the gums. So we're basically, it's sort of like what I want to do is I'm enhancing what's happening here with our buddy. I'm going to give the Xanathar like a fun, like red clown lip happening around the mouth because I thought that'd be a hysterical addition. So we'll keep the
Ah.
dark red on the inside of the mouth. And believe it or not, that little bit right there, because this is like my 10th beholder now, that's a tooth. So if you get paint on that, that's cool. Just in the future, remember that's a tooth.
Just in the future.
Just in the future.
Remember, that's a molar.
That's that's a back fang. And again, because of all these little nooks and crannies and everything happening in the mouth, you will need to move this around. I already
Yeah,
got some
I've
on the
already got
teeth.
this upside
I knew
down.
that was going to happen. It's just how it works. So we're going to work around and do the best we can getting this paint inside.
All right.
I got to turn upside down as well myself. All the different angles are your friends when it comes to the gaping maw, which even though it's a big mouth, it's got a lot happening inside.
All the angles are good with gaping maws.
Yes.
I'm going to use that in a D&D game where we actually are fighting something with a gaping maw.
Uh-huh.
The instant someone tells me, oh, and it's got this big toothy maw, and I'm going to be like, and all the angles are good.
Mm-hmm.
All the angles for fighting those things are good.
Exactly. So really my point is here is like, don't worry if you get the paint elsewhere. That's why we're approaching it the way we're approaching it, because I know that's going to happen.
Well, and I appreciate that because I think there will be a lot of people who'd immediately go, oh, geez, how do I keep the red off of these teeth? That's got to be super important.
You can't. I mean, you can get brushes that have these fun little inks up here. Like you'll see there are paintbrushes that come and they're purposely bent at angles right here. So you can kind of hook and get in if you want to. But even those sometimes don't exactly do what you need them to do.
I mean, and there are a lot of teeth, and they're sharp and pointy.
So many sharp, pointy teeth.
And trying to get the roof of this mouth, I can't even imagine trying to get the roof of the mouth without getting the teeth around it. Like that would be so. It's probably possible, but it would be so frustrating. So it's kind of freeing to just be like, teeth.
And that's just it. I might move down to a smaller brush because the brush itself is kind of big. Not because of the bristles, but because of this part is too big to shove into the mouth. So I'm downgrading to a 1, which was in my Mod Podge brush set. And that's, again, this is one of those sets I really recommend, especially for beginners. It's super durable. They last beautifully. And I, of course, just totally slipped. And yeah. See, there's really, I mean, this one's been enjoying like his, almost looks like cherry pie. Pie in the face.
Yeah, I've already got.
That's right, with the
it's just adding to the horrific clown facade is what's going on there.
I'm going to pull off camera because I truly cannot get this with the camera in front of my face.
Oh no, that's fine. And while you do that, I'm gonna take a look and see. Prog Metal Jean says this looks very complicated to paint. You know what? We've just started with the painting. I would say I don't think it's complicated. It's got a lot of detail, but there's something fun about that. And once again, it's painting. If you do something that you're unhappy with, you can just paint over it.
Yep.
And trust me, I've already done that multiple times during the show. I've been like, I don't. All right, let's just do it again. Yeah. And you can always go after it again. But yeah, like. It's also exciting because it's got all these nooks and crannies and different things. And I think that's one of the reasons I don't mind the fact that it's got this, it's a little more nook and cranny and complicated, but it's fun, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to do a quick adjustment on I'm adjusting my camera. Seeing if I can amp up the brightness a touch here.
I got red on the nose.
I mean,
did I do that?
Could be worse.
I mean, at least the nose is gonna be red, but like,
it'd be worse.
I don't even know how I did that. Oh no.
Yeah.
I gotta do.
So you can
grab some water and try to make some of that go away pretty quick, just so.
Like I'm still seeing spots inside, like the tip of the tongue.
Oh
yeah. A little bit better.
The roof of this mouth
is
the roof.
fun.
The roof.
The roof is not on fire. The roof is hiding.
It is.
So, and in terms of this being a complex mini to paint, it looks like it could be, but when you break it down into steps like what we're going to do here, it's actually not that bad. It's kind of like a paint by numbers mini because you have different sections you can work off of.
Also, props to Garwar for when the paint hits that guy right below his main eye. That's a molar. I would
Oh my
slow clap
God.
for you, but my hands are
Hands are
a
full.
little full at the moment.
Right? But
Uh-huh.
that was good. That was good.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is also going up on the gums. What's that thing? The teeth. There's a thing. Ba bump ba bump. The tip of the tongue. It's like a drink. Maybe the chat knows what I'm talking. Someone in the chat knows what I'm talking about. There's like this phrase where you raise a toast and
I don't know this,
it
but
goes
I'm
ba-dum,
interested.
ba-dum, the tip of the tongue, and something else that follows is the pattern of the. Maybe this is just like an odd cultural thing in
Tip
New
of the
Jersey.
tongue, the teeth, the lips. Tormentum 15 is saying because I've switched
Okay.
back over to chat to see if anybody knows.
Okay, thank you. So yeah,
And while you do that, I'm taking a closer look at where you are in the gums because I know we're trying to do.
I am.
Okay, so basically
Yeah.
on the inside of that
Yeah, the gums. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And again, if you want to thin your paints, you can. I didn't say this before. However, you may not have to, depending on the consistency of your paint. I always go for about a maple syrup consistency. And my red was actually quite watery. So it already sort of factored itself into the flow of paint that I wanted. But if for some reason you have your paint and it's acting more like toothpaste or ketchup, that's too thick. You want to thin it down just a little bit, especially because in this case, these are deep and detailed grooves that are happening. And the thicker your paint is, the harder it is actually going to be to get it into those grooves without loading up the details. And then your details will go away because once this paint dries, it's got plastic in it. It becomes hard and you lose those lovely etched in details.
I don't think I knew that this paint had plastic in it, but that totally
Acrylic.
makes sense
Yep.
when we're talking about acrylic paint. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever put that all together, but absolutely.
It's actually cool if you take acrylic paint and you paint it onto a plastic like this, or if you get those cheap plastic palettes from Michael's, you can actually peel off the paint and get like these colorful discs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Just a fun little non sequitur.
A couple more fun things from chat. So Bavarian says Bavarian has your back. V over the teeth, past the gums, look out stomach. Here it comes.
Thank you.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
The lurking writer says V with the teeth painted like that, your beholder is definitely living up to the Pennywise comparisons. Which yes,
I think I might have to kind of do a little bit of a touch of like bright red bloodiness at the end next week because I was literally just noticing the same thing as I was getting the gums done. So yeah, we're wavelengthing right there. I like it.
There you go.
I like it.
And Flanagan says, how is called a beholder? How is it called a beholder? What do you call a beholder with clowns for tentacles? A clown holder. Flanagan also says, I usually use adhesive tape to mark a limit and make little details like two tapes in parallel and paint the parts inside. That sounds brilliant, but also like a lot of really fine tape work.
Yeah. And that is an absolute technique that you can use as you get more advanced and comfortable with paints and know how paints work and function with different properties. So it's a great painting technique, absolutely. I have seen it used with great success for many painters. I wouldn't recommend that right out the gate for beginners, though, because it becomes one other factor that people have to juggle and balance and learn how to do at the same time, and it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
But for those of you more advanced who want to give it a try, do check that out. Yeah, I will say that. There are various YouTubers who have covered that already in terms of how to, tricks to. But yeah, I will say if you're comfortable with mini painting and you want to explore a new technique, look into that because you can do some really cool things. All right, so I think I'm almost there.
I'm getting there. I'm moving to a smaller brush like you did just to get a few of the finer details without getting too much on the other parts near the gums and scales. Like, what do you call those scales on a beholder?
I see. That's just it. I actually asked a good friend of ours. I'm like, what do you call these parts of the beholder body? He's like, I don't know. Like, so can I call this a bone plate? Is what I'm going to call these. These are bone plates. I
That
am
makes
going to
sense.
call these scales because they have a scale-like look to them. So yeah, the beholder scales, stalks for the eye stalks. Uh, nose, eyes.
Yeah.
So
Gaping maw.
gaping maw. We're
Ah.
getting a touch of beholder anatomy 101, I guess.
All right. Also, I needed to get this really good and stuck on there because I want to go upside down. And this beholder is fairly large mini. I mean, I
It's
know we
got
were looking
some
at things
weight,
like,
yeah.
yeah, we're looking at like Tiamat not long ago, and so it's all relative. But I'm definitely having that moment of like, get
Yeah.
on my pill bottle. All right.
Yes. Are you too good for your home? Stay on your pill bottle. All right, you can go in hiding now. And ta-da. So I think I'm happy with how my... I say that. No, that's tooth. That's tooth. That's tooth. That's just it. There's so many times like, was that tooth or gum? So I'm happy with how this mouth looks, and it's going to take a little bit of time to dry. I'll just show you this so it's not so much in the shadow, but you can see it's this nice dark red, which you want because we're going to be doing some dry brushing soon. But we're going to do that, and then
I just got this last little bit right in
yeah,
the top that I
that's
missed.
cool. Totally understand that one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my red, as is red. I'm going to start with some red separately and bring just a touch of the darker red that I just mixed, since I got excited and put too much black in mine.
I also love that because I'm using the game color that it's just called bloody red.
Right?
Yes.
Game color has you know what? I think just change it up and swap it up a little bit and go for some game color for the next mini. Not now. Don't want to do it mid paint. But there are some most excellent colors in the game color line that just they're fun because there's bloody red. There is oh, why did it just leave my mind? And it actually makes me gag. I'll have to look up the name of the paint. But there's a particular paint that makes me gag having to say it because it's like disgusting. But the color is also disgusting. Like it's definitely for like those ooey gooey squishy monsters.
for stuff and where it's appropriate to be talking about. Oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah, this is okay. So I'm gonna switch to as soon as I can find it. Where'd you go, baby? Here we go. My 10/0 brush. Doodly-doo, the detail brush. And I am going to use a separate brush for mixing because I'm using this palette. I'm going to take a little bit of that darker red that I just mixed and add it into what is this very bright, God, that's even beyond cherry and apple red. This is fire engine red for sure.
Yeah.
The red that I'm using. But I just want to mute it ever so slightly because I don't want it to be... Okay, I was going to say clownish. I'm like, well, that defeats the point. Garish of a red.
But I understand, like, yeah, we're making a clown beholder.
Right.
But it also still needs to have a little bit of that menace to it. And so it can't be clownish even if it is a clown.
Yeah.
So
I'm just, that's exactly the color I'm aiming for right now. I'm quite happy about that mix. Rinsing my mix brush, and now I'll go in with my detail brush. And now we're going to address this area of the mouth that I had talked about before with the side scales and that little bit of, I guess it's tendon, we'll call that. So
that's what you want to call it. That's what I will call it.
Yeah. So you can see here there are some scales that pop in here. All right. So what I am using as my sort of guide is this ridge here.
Okay.
And up is where I'm going to apply this color.
So on the ridges, but not on the scales.
Not on the scales at this point when we're at the upper point of the mouth. So I'm working around the scales. I am not putting it onto the eyelid, lower eyelid, we'll call that. It's going to seem a little weird because it's going up high, but remember, beholders are basically eyes and mouths squished together.
In the most horrifying of ways.
In the most horrific, terrifying way possible. So I'm starting with this brighter red up at that upper corner, right-hand side.
Okay.
just like so. And then again, using this line that's happening here. Pull the red through here.
All right. And while we're doing that, so Crazy Matt Captain has confirmed that the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue is a thing for vocal practice for singing, which is probably what you're thinking
why
of.
I'm thinking of it, exactly.
Yep. And the Real Bunny Beast asks, at what size do you stop calling them minis and start calling them middies or maxis? Like that, yeah. We have talked about that for sure.
She's a maxiture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that Tiamat is a maxiture. Okay, so you can see there is this ridge through here. Now that we're moving our way down the mouth. But there's also another one that pops up through here. See this one right here?
Yeah, like the smaller tendons.
Yep. So I'm going to, and this is what's going to take it from a comical clown mouth to a little bit more terrifying one. So I'm going to pick up that second ridge as well and paint that. And work this. Okay. It does get a little bit deeper in there, and you can see there are some smaller scales that happen around it. And even a wee little bone plate, it looks like. Now, what's funny is I've never done this detailed work around the mouth before. Normally, this becomes scale colors as well.
Yeah.
Like what you see on the original art yonder, right there. But I think this is going to amp this mini up to be even more like, oh, God, what am I looking at when we're done? So now that I have those done, I'm going to switch and continue this red mouth down where we have the scales getting larger and pointing into the mouth, not running down the body. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Just basically like the one line of scales that's right next to the gaping maw.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do love how much detail is on this beholder, and because it does mean that you can give it the very classic beholder paint job, or you can do things like what we're doing, and it's all the same beholder, but because you can just accent different details in different ways, it's going to come out looking completely different.
I have done in the past, I've done one to look like a, it was actually a really cool commission. This fellow wanted it to be the colors of a stormy sea, because it was a beholder whose lair was next to the seashore or stormy sea area. So they wanted it to sort of blend into the environment. So that was a really neat look. And it gave it this almost elegant, which is a really weird word to give a beholder. But it had almost like this elegant presence to it because of the colors. I have also done one that was Pride. So the rainbow. Ooh. So it started off bright red and worked its way down. It became like a purple at the bottom. And that one, you would think probably would have had a more comical look to it because bright rainbow colors. No, it actually had a really almost menacing, poisonous look to it.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so did that one. I've also done...
Real quick, colors. Are we doing all the way around the mouth or just down?
All the way around.
Okay.
All the way
Sorry
around.
to interrupt, but I want to make sure I wasn't going to accidentally go onto scales I shouldn't have.
You're keeping it literally to just those scales that all point into the mouth, not go down the body, is the best way to explain it.
Okay.
So yeah, I've done the ace colors as well, which that one looked wicked cool because it was gray, black, and purple and white.
Oh yeah.
So that was a neat. It almost had like a monochromatic tone to it, but then with the purples popped in, it was really quite eye-catching. And then I've done one to look like Xanathar, and then I've done one to look like the book. It's a monster manual, right? Why am I blanking on who has the beholder on the front cover? The classic.
Well, Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
That's one. There's the other one where it's like everyone paints it for the most part because it looks like a big menacing purple beholder.
The actual monster manual.
Yeah, it's a monster manual. It is the monster manual. Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure about. Like, is it monster manual?
With the thing that always strikes me is there's the guy at the front of the monster manual that the Xanathar is obviously turning to stone. He's like,
yep.
It's such an evocative, like, it's like I've just failed all of my saving throws.
Yep.
Aquatic Demon 1 wants to know, even though I know the answer to this, and I know you could have if you wanted to, did you paint the dragon behind you?
I have
Which
not
I'm assuming
painted.
We're talking about Tiamat.
I have not painted that Tiamat. I have painted a Tiamat in the past, but it was not quite to this scale. It was more of a, it was still a large miniature, I should say that. It was actually an incense burner from Walmart that I multi-purposed.
I mean, is there anything that can compare to that Tiamat as far as scale?
Yeah, there is. It's not,
Oh,
obviously not from WizKids. There is floating around, and I'm trying to remember if it was a 3D print model. It's this Call of Cthulhu esque monster. It stands at
oh,
2.5 feet, but
wow.
it's massive. It looks like you have a toddler on your table.
I mean, at 2.5 feet,
Yeah,
you have a toddler on your table.
you pretty much do. Yeah, I take that. Yeah, now that I'm saying that out loud, it's like having a toddler at your table.
It is the proverbial cat deciding they want to DM.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which they love to do that, don't they?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have some very good friends that live nearby that we occasionally get together. They're part of my vaccinated circle,
I love
and we
it.
have played D&D. They have a very nice table. They have one of the last Geek Chic tables. If you want
Ooh.
to, if you remember that wonderful company.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this lovely gaming table, and every once in a while we go on over and play. And they have two cats, and the one cat who is not a complete scaredy cat, of
Mm-hmm.
literally scaredy cat, will eventually just jump up onto the table while we're playing, and I
Uh-huh.
have multiple pictures of them being the DM
I
because
love it.
that's just what cats do.
They really do. If it
It's
fits, I
just how
sits.
cats do.
I
If it
mean,
fits, or if there's a DM screen, or if
mm-hmm.
there's minis, or if there's dice,
Mm-hmm.
or if there's anything they can bat off the table. It's like, no, 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 no,
Absolutely.
no.
I mean, I have cats I can vouch for, even with streaming. Oh my God.
Oh yes. See,
They're
but
like,
streaming is a bit different, and even I know there are people who have heard me say this in both chats and on stream, but basically, all good streams, or most good streams, one of the quickest ways you can find out is it a good stream. They have had technical issues or a cat has shown up,
mm-hmm.
and I know everybody who has a pet of some sort. They always feel bad when their pet shows up.
Do.
The chat never does. Chat is always
This
like,
is
oh,
true.
puppy. It's like Jason when he's doing any of his streams, especially when
Mm-hmm.
he does his. He's got some Monday and Wednesday streams, and where he'll
The
have
live.
guests,
Yeah.
or he'll take requests. You can drop a couple bucks in his tip jar, and
Yeah.
he'll play one of hundreds of songs.
Right?
Every once in a while, one of his dogs show up, and he's always like a little abashed about it, and the entire chat is like, "But it's a puppy."
Wait, it's a doggy.
Oh.
I mean, I have my 3 cats, and Hemingway, he's my mushy boy. Like, he
Mm-hmm.
absolutely wants attention from mom. There's no way around it. He's also extremely mellow and flexible, and people have caught me in chat in streams where Hemingway's around my neck like a stole. And he
Mm-hmm.
just sits there, and people don't believe it, but he's purring the whole time. He's loving it. He gets all happy, and he's a polydactyl, so you see his big paws going, back and forth, like making biscuits. And I call it 6 and 7 because he's got 6 on one paw and 7 toes on the other.
Aw.
But yeah, no, he definitely will make appearances in streams without question.
Yeah. I sadly have no pets. I just have technical issues.
So it's still a good
uh,
stream.
Trafalgar123 says, at 5 feet tall, Lord of the Rings started calling them bigatures instead of miniatures.
So I'm a bigature.
I'm a bigature. Yep. Pie Chalk said, the beholder's lips. Does a beholder have lips? Lip scales. In the on-screen graphic, it more clearly looks like it's lips. I think the canon answer for does a beholder have lips is oh.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the more accurate answer, besides both of us going, oh. I mean, I'm not Jeremy Crawford, and I think Jeremy Crawford would be like, well, do you think they have lips? Are
Uh-huh.
you the DM? If they have
Yep.
lips, it's you can decide. Yes,
Plus,
they
it's a
have lips.
beholder. Beholders pride themselves on having different looks from other beholders. So I could see one being like, I absolutely have lips. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So yes, I think the answer
yeah.
is
Yeah.
sure if you want.
Yeah. Now, this one doesn't have quite as many of the tendony things happening on the other side. So just kind of keep it so you're painting around these smaller little scales that are popping out.
Yeah, it feels like
One side gets a little bit more exaggerated than the other, but again, I think it's going to
yeah.
steer into making this look a little bit more menacing of a clown as opposed to like, oh, it's a cute little clown.
Yeah, absolutely. Kiwi Mischief is asking about pictures to share of the various painted beholders that you have rattled off, which
Oh,
I would assume we could find these on
my Instagram.
your
My
Instagram. Okay.
Instagram is honestly the best place for my archive of miniature photos because that's the one I tend to like do quick shots and share pictures. Which is what is my Instagram? She says, questioning herself, at v underscore muse underscore tcm. That'll take you to my Instagram. And that's where you can see a lot of these beholders that I mentioned. Some of them I did not take photos because clients specifically asked me not to because spoiler reasons.
Which totally makes sense.
Yeah, so they won't be shared on my social media. But the ones that I could, that I was given clearance to, I have put up on my Instagram account. Twitter's a little bit more tricky because there's not a great way to really get like old photos that have been shared as easily.
Yeah, you just kind of have to
Yeah.
scroll, and eventually Twitter's like, "What? Why are you
Let's
scrolling
reload
so
for
far?"
you. Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
Right? Oh, you
Oh,
didn't mean to do that. Let me refresh. It's like, why did you refresh on me?
yeah. Also, I've definitely been that person who's like, I would love to post some stuff about this D&D game, except I know my players follow me.
Yep. Yep.
As much as it sucks that I don't get to play D&D as often with Luke, with my partner, it does often make it a little easier to share with him what's going on in my D&D games, because it's like, all right, it sucks that we can't play together, but now I can tell you
But
all about my plans.
guess what's going on? Okay, so we have the mouth, and like I said, this gives it more of a demented clown look, which I'm really keen about.
Yeah.
And it's also given the mouth inside chance to dry. And that's important because our next step is we're going to be doing a little bit of dry brushing detail on the gums and on the tendons to bring out that texture, because there are fun little, you can see right there, there are these fun little ridges I'd like to bring out. So we're actually going to add a touch of white to what we just painted up.
Okay.
Just to give it not fully pink. We're not going for, baby girl present pink. But we want to lighten it enough so that when we put it onto the gums, it makes a noticeable difference.
And this is the dry brushing color that we're going to try to
Yeah,
create.
we're going to dry brush this. So I'm going to mix this up on my wet palette with my mixing brush so I don't tear the parchment paper.
And I still got my paper plate.
And that
Just still
works
hanging in there.
just as well, too. So you want this to be a fleshy color. It's not a pink. It's more of a, like the color of your gums. Go look in the mirror, smile, and reference the color of your gums.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure this is really attractive for chat as I'm like, okay.
Smile for the camera. So I'll say it's like a salmon pink. How about that? We'll use that. We'll say it's like a salmon pink instead of a baby pink.
That's good. I'm glad that you said that, because that's actually more of what I ended up getting, was like a
Good.
salmon instead of the inside of my gums.
Okay, cool. Then we're on the same path. And then what you're going to do, and I'm actually going to grab a new dry painting brush that I got, and I really like how it looks. I'm going to grab my flat brush here. Flat brushes are fantastic for dry brushing. You can use a 4 on this one. You may find you need to drop down to a 2 on this one, depending on your angles. I am going to use this lovely dry brush that I got from Redgrass, and it really does a beautiful job of accentuating details. I can't show you the mini that I painted with it because it's a not safe for work mini. But if you're curious, go and check out my recent socials, the Rascala that I just recently did. And if you're going to be checking out Instagram, it's going to be like the most recent mini. It did such a beautiful job that I'm excited to try it out on a beholder. So I really want to make sure to use it on the beholder. So you get a little bit of paint onto your brush. And if you're not familiar, as I grab a paper towel, if you're not familiar with dry brushing, basically what you do is you get some paint loaded onto the tip of your flat brush, not loaded up to the top, which you really shouldn't do anyways. And then you basically just drag it across your paper towel until you start see it streaking like this. You can see texture is brought out, but what is recessed stays the color that it was originally, is how this is going to work. So I'm going to take this color, and I am going to, first with the teeth on the gums, you're going to want to pull down because of the texture on those gums. and you'll see it starts bringing out a little bit more detail that's happening here. So I'm going to pull down, and I'm going to do the same thing, but little trick, if you turn your flat brush so that it's not flat towards you, so go from this to this, you can then get into that corner and pull down in those tendon areas, the upper lip area, and get some of that up there too. And it'll float nicely in there without going too far outside of the line, so to speak.
All right.
But that starts giving you more of a gummy look, which you can see in the side to side here. See?
Oh, yeah.
It makes a difference. So we're going to do that. And you can even do some, and I do recommend doing it, not necessarily all the way inside the mouth, because you do want to have that depth preserved, but you can even do it along the inside here where there are those lovely texture details going on, if I can get the light to play nicely, right through there, and also on the tongue. So I'm going to work the gums, and then I'm going to work inside the mouth with this color. And with dry brushing, it helps if you want to start off with just a little bit on your brush, and you can always add more later, is what I advise when it comes to dry brushing, especially if you're just learning how.
Yes, dry brushing, the technique that is awesome and wonderful, but is a constant thing to try to master.
Yeah. I mean, there are times I still slip up and I forget to blot, and I'm like, splat. I'm like, well, that's not what I wanted to do.
There we go. Oh, I got a couple more questions from chat. Let's Manic says, "What must I see? You're creating a beholder. Yay, my favorite evil thing." Aw. Welcome. Yes. We're not just doing just any beholder. We're doing the Clown Xanathar from the game. Oof. So, but welcome. Glad that we are giving you beholder joy. Kiwi Mischief says their cats like to, quote unquote, help them do yoga.
Oh.
Yoga cats.
That sounds lovely in my book, quite frankly.
And Wat G says, my cat popped into a job interview yesterday. They loved it, and I got the job. Hey,
lucky
congratulations
kitty.
on getting the job. I am sure you earned the job,
yes.
and that the cat was just bonus. But you know what? You know what? Celebrate your cat. Why
exactly.
not? Always celebrate your cat.
Mm-hmm. See, this is where the teeth are going to get funky again, too, because you're going to see that happens, which is totally okay. If you get stuff on the teeth right now, if anything, it enhances the teeth in the long run when you go back in and you put we're not making it bright white. That lovely, light tan color in the teeth, it really makes it look like, oh, this is chomped into a few bits of flesh when all is said and done.
Yes, this is the Pennywise of clown beholders for sure. Trafalgar123 says, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so ugly is in the mouth of the beholder. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd go with that idea.
I'm not mad at that one. I like that.
Yeah. This technique is absolutely I'm not sure if this is going to show up. It's perfect for getting, I don't know what you call it, the ridges on the bottom of the tongue. I guess it's just the part of your tongue that, tendons. Yeah. I'll have to ask Luke, okay, what's that part of the mouth called? He might know.
Little did we know we needed an anatomy lesson really quick before we started painting this.
This has happened every week, though. We have literally had this, on a regular basis. It's like, well, wait a second. What do you call this? So, and I guess that's just normal for when you're painting minis, and also when you're describing beasts in a D&D game. There's definitely been plenty of times where I'm trying to describe a part of an anatomy of a made-up creature, and I'm like, I don't know what do you call this? I don't know.
Okay, so there we go. I was trying to get a good angle so you can see texture and stuff. So you can see now, after doing that dry brushing, you get these lovely details in the gums, as well as the tongue. Even the taste bud texture is there.
Yeah.
And the ridges inside the mouth, which we'll find out what that means for next week. Luke!
If there is a dentist and or doctor in the chat, please let me know.
Right? Is there an anatomist in the house?
Yes, please.
So we'll do that for inside the mouth. And then I am rinsing my dry brush. And I'm going to go back to the red. And because I want to bring out the texture of these scales running around the mouth, I am going to use just red in its purest form, but because we're dry brushing, it's not going to be as intense of red, but it'll be enough to add some textural interest to the mini in that area.
Textural interest.
Yes.
I like that phrase. Textural interest.
If you want to sound fancy, feel to use that in regular conversation, in casual conversation.
Yeah, how often can you use mini painting discourse in casual conversation? And I do need a new paper towel.
Oh, that's a thing that's definitely going to happen. So kind of like what we've been doing before, you work against the texture. You don't want to run your brush alongside of it. You want to work it across the texture. For those of you who are new to seeing dry brushing, that is why I'm going in all these various different angles. Now this is going to be more subtle because again, I don't want this to be in your face, but it'll enhance it enough that you can kind of get a little bit more details popping out as a result.
Yeah, and this definitely has a lot of detail to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I am going to pull across here because we have those lovely ridges in the tendons right there.
I just wanted to say ruffles have ridges right there, except that's not what this is.
Maybe that's your beholder's name.
Is ruffles?
Ruffles.
Well, okay. So now is the point of the chat. We're at an hour in, and so I will ask the chat to name my beholder. Are we naming it Ruffles? Are we naming it something else? I need name suggestions.
I want to hear this. But here we have the mouth. Remember, the teeth we're going to address later, but you can see how this is starting to get a monstrous look to it already.
I mean, even with the teeth not being addressed, the fact that they are covered, it's definitely monstrous. Yep, and we haven't even gotten to the hardcore clown stuff.
That's like a nope. That's a nope. Nope, yep. Nope. So that is going to, I think that's going to take care of our, yes it is. That's taking care of our red. So we're done with red for the day.
Hey, we'll thank you, Red, for your service.
Yes. So now, well, we're getting some lovely names for your beholder, and I can't wait to hear what they're going to be.
People are liking Ruffles. People are definitely liking Ruffles. And the Lurking Writer wants to know if I have an Orkira mini. I actually have a couple of Orkira minis. I've been very, very fortunate. When I guested on D4 a while ago, they made me a mini from Eldritch Foundry, which did a fantastic job.
They do.
And I have 2 different Hero Forge minis that I've made because so I haven't painted an Orkira mini, but I got one of the Hero Forge when they started doing the colored plastics that you could get. So I do have a couple. They're sitting, I don't know if you can see on my screen. They are right back there.
Back in there. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't see the specific minis, but so these are all of my minis that are all my PC minis right there. One of these days I'll show it off. But I see you've grabbed yellow, so I want to catch up.
And brown, because we're gonna what?
I looked over, not just Ruffles Beholder. B middle name Holder. I think yep. And Kevin Bolware, I do really like Bozo Holder. But yeah, I think Law Ducks Ruffles Beholder I think is going to have to be I think that's our winner. Let me go ahead and highlight that one. Thank you everybody for playing. That's the name of my beholder, and let us go on. So you've grabbed the yellow.
So grabbing the yellow and a little bit of brown. So we're gonna make a light mustard brown color, and we're gonna put this on the lower portion of the jaw of the beholder. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to dip my brush in just once this time and get a little bit of brown loaded onto it, and then mix it into my whole bunch of yellow. I did like a nickel size amount of this yellow.
All right.
I'm going to mix it in. Because what I know is happening with this particular paint color, and I actually might thin this slightly. This is slightly too thick of a paint for my liking for what I want to do with this. So I'm going to mix, and then I'll add some. I always use, remember, fresh water. Don't use your rinse water for thinning your paints. FYI, hint, hint. But yeah, it's this nice mustard brown that I have going on. It's not like French's bright yellow. It's more of the Grey Poupon, I guess we'll say.
Yeah. And what size brush are we using again?
For this, you can move up again to a number 3 when it comes time to painting. This is just my mixing brush, which I think is also a number 3 that's been downgraded. Yes, yes, it is. So I'm going to get that color mixed all together, but I am going to add some fresh water. I just rinsed my brush off too, because I want this to be slightly thinner, because the thing that's going to happen here is that this is going to go into the recesses of all those scaly textures of the beholder. So if the paint is too thick, you're going to find it's actually trickier to get it into those areas again without overloading and filling in the details, because the paint kind of collects more than you want it to.
Okay.
So aiming for maple syrup, that is my go-to consistency, and that is what I have there, and I am a happy, happy person. So I'm going to stop adding water, and now I'm going to go back to my good number 3, which, hold on, that was the number 1 that I used earlier on the mouth. Put that over there. No, where'd you go? Where did you go?
Where did you
go? Oh, did it fall on the floor?
Oh no!
It
Oh no!
fell
It's a
on
cat
the
toy
floor.
now.
Now it is. Luckily,
Cat toy.
I guess I could go for a 5. You can use a 3 on this one. I'll grab my 5 for a little bit. But same idea. Just a nice round pointed tip brush. So I will go in. Actually, let me moisten that a little bit. Because that's been sitting out for a while. I literally just put water on my bristles so it was more supple. So now I'm just going to go in, and where we have all of these lovely bone plates, we are going
the big
guys, these things sticking out here. We're going to put yellow just under this line of bone plates as we work around. Okay? So kind of use this line here as our guide for how far we're going to go with yellow.
Okay.
And there's also, speaking of cats, there's a cat hair that is floating around that I see on my camera, but I'm not seeing in person. So I'm going to start first by sort of edging around the mouth. And if you want to switch to a detail brush for this to make it easier, by all means, do so.
Yeah, I might do that just because we put so much work into those gums.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna go tiny brush.
And don't worry if you get color onto the bone plates, because we're going to do the bone plates later.
Okay.
So kind of like what we did with the teeth, don't worry if some color gets onto these plates. We're going to do the teeth and the plates next week, is the game plan.
I like that we don't have to be in a hurry with this.
Me too.
It's a lot more fun when you can just paint, and it's like, you know what, we need a couple more hours for this thing.
Yeah, we may honestly with this one, just because I forgot how, this is going to sound horrible, but how thirsty this miniature is for paint. Forgot this takes a lot more paint than I remembered.
Okay.
Not what, there's really...
I know. I appreciated that. Thirsty for paint.
It's thirsty for paint. It lives off
get
paint.
the other side of this mouth, and I'll go back to the bigger brush.
Mm-hmm. And same thing, don't worry if you get yellow on the ruffle, because we'll do the ruffle next week too. We're kind of focusing on the body this week. And then next week is more of the accessories and the details for what we're going to do.
I have to say, I'm excited about getting to the nose. I know that seems...
Me too.
That seems like that's going to be the easiest part, but I'm super excited about the nose.
It's honestly going to be like the very last thing we do, because it is the most outward thing and it has the highest chance of getting caught by a stray brush when you're dry brushing.
That makes sense.
So we will do the nose pretty much towards the end, if not the very end. Well, no, we still need to do it before we do washes. So yeah, I'm just going to go in and tuck it through here. And like I said, I already got stuff on the plate, so I don't care. I'm fine.
I don't care. It's going to be fine.
I will fix it later. That's not...
Yep.
I'm not going to worry about that.
It's paint.
Exactly.
It can be painted over. It can be fixed. It's all fine. It's all good.
It's a very Bob Ross approach to miniatures. Like, we'll get back to it. It'll be okay. Okay, seriously, where is this? I feel like I'm playing the claw game. I want to get I can't
Oh,
see it in real life. My camera's. I got it. I got it. I got it. Okay.
oh, yeah, I see it. I see it.
Live stream
Um,
menu painting.
the Lurking Writer says Ruffles Beholder needs to feature in a one-shot campaign now, Lauren, alongside your Kobold Baker. Well, so here's the thing: my Kobold
Ooh.
Baker, eventually, when I finish making them, they're going to be a PC that I want to play in a game, an as yet
Nice.
to be determined game.
TBD.
This Beholder, however, I might throw this up against some of my players the
Uh
next time
oh.
I get a chance,
Uh oh.
because why not? Because
Yeah.
it'll be funny.
So what I'm gonna do here, now that we're getting to the back, I'm actually going to it's like dry brushing. It's called feathering. So I'm going to feather with my brush, like almost like I'm tickling the scales. I'm gonna bring it up slightly because I know that when I'm transitioning from blue to yellow, that I want this area where I'm gonna blend the two colors slightly. So I'm going to start by
Ah.
feathering some yellow up because what that does is it keeps it from getting a very solid demarcation of color change, which can make it look more cartoonish. So if you want it to look more like an actual creature, if you feather that a little bit more, you'll see the yellow kind of plays with the blue when it comes time. So,
Nice. Kind
yeah.
of in a similar way, although we did a lot of dry brushing with it, but
Mm-hmm.
when we were doing the myconids and
Yeah.
got the
Yep.
myconids, all that kind of nice
Yeah.
blending.
Exactly. It's another way to do some blending without reverting to washes.
All right.
Lots of little angles here. I do like this mini holder because of the spinning factor. I wish I had this for the other beholders I had painted. But good to know for future paintings.
There you go. Do you want to mention again for those who are new what that
Yes,
holder is? Because that
sure.
is like
It's
I love
lovely.
my pill bottle, but you do have a little more
It
facility with your
does.
holder.
So this is from also from Redgrass Games, the same as the dry brush I was just talking about. They sent this to me to try out, and it is their miniature beholder. They give you putty, except it's
Your miniature
orange.
holder.
It's a miniature holder. Yeah,
You said miniature beholder holder.
miniature. I did. So it's what you have here is this orange tack, same as like blue tack you would get, but theirs is orange, and it's this ergonomic holder, so say it like grips nicely in your fist, and it does feel really nice in hand. But this is also what I like is that you can spin as you go around, which helps. And this is also magnetic, which is great. But if you're doing live streams and you have a camera that is arched over your body, just be careful how close you get it because it will stick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's a nice feature. And you get like this little circle sticker, metal sticker type of thing that you can put like on your craft table, so you can set it down. It'll lock right onto it if you want. But yeah, that's what it is, and I think you can find it even like on Amazon and at game stores. Check with your game store first, hobby store.
Yep. Always check with your friendly
Always
local
check
game
with your
store.
game store first.
I am excited on a personal level because I'm going to be going to there is a small chain called Mox Boarding House here in
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, which is the one in Bellevue is technically my local game store. It is the closest one,
Love it.
which is nice. And then there's another one in Seattle. And in the next week, I'm going to get a chance to go to both because I'm meeting up with
Yes.
some friends tomorrow. And then Tuesday is Fizbins. And I have my
Ooh.
Fizbins on pre-order. So I'm excited to finally get my dragons, get all my
Ah.
Dragonborn on. Orkira is
Dragons.
no longer going to be archived. She will be real. I am excited.
Yay. Oh,
Let me grab a
that's
couple more
fun.
questions from chat. Yeah,
Please do.
it's it's one of those weird, funny, and yet it also is slightly annoying things because I was using the Dragonborn UA on D&D Beyond,
Uh-huh.
and then they archived the UA, and so
Right.
next to Orkira, every time I pull her up for Heroes of the Plains, it has in parentheses archived, and I'm like, I don't like that, even though it's
Yep.
also funny. So yes,
Yep.
Tuesday she will be unarchived.
Woohoo!
TTRB Gifts is in chat. Hi, and says the smile is so creepy. I love it. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Callist29. I want to go paint my minis, but they're stuck in moving boxes.
Oh.
Well, if you haven't finished your move, have a safe move. Hopefully that will complete soon, and then you can come and watch the previous episodes on our YouTube channel and catch up on all of the Beholder glory. We also have a carrion crawler and myconids that are up there. and we
Yeah.
have some exciting things coming up. I'm excited about all of
Me
the
too.
minis that we have, but we just decided on the mini that is that we're going to be doing at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just ordered that mini from a friendly
Awesome.
local game store.
Yay.
I am super excited about that mini. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
can't wait. Well, I'm excited too because that's one of the ones I have not painted yet in the dragons. And
Ooh.
that's all I'm going to tell you.
We've given it. Yeah, we've given
That's
away
all I'm going to tell
dragons,
you.
but we're not going to say anything else. Yeah, I am super excited.
Yep.
Okay, I think I got the yellow pretty much everywhere that it makes sense, including places it doesn't make sense, like the side of my finger. You
Well,
know.
I mean, color check.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at the
Ah.
same point. I think I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I am going to, yep, double check, double check. Actually, let me get a little bit in there.
There we go.
And I'm going to bring this up just slightly more on this side for myself. Actually, I'm going to switch to a detail brush for right there. One moment, please.
Yeah, I'd love to see how far up you're gonna go because I got to. I
Oh,
tried this
no. Hold on.
stop.
I slipped.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I can quickly
I've
fix
slipped all
that.
over the place, but we've got the.
Yeah, I've got it onto my red. Quick little thing is if you slip and you can catch it quick enough, take a clean brush with some water and you can actually work the color off, which is what I'm doing right now. It's also why it's helpful to keep a thing of clean water nearby.
Mm.
There we go. Yay, better. Okay, so let me go back in and hold my breath while I try and paint. Don't do that for too long because you could pass out. So basically, here we go with balance. So I brought it up on either side of the mouth. So I'm using these two bone plates right here and right there. You did the same thing. Great.
Think I did. Yep.
Yep. So you can see this
Actually,
is
on
where
the
we're
one
gonna.
side, I got to go up a little bit more.
Haha. That's still totally cool. So now we have the yellow on there. Hooray. So next up is the blue.
Mm.
Let me rinse my brushes though before I forget.
Yep.
Because that's not fun when you go to use a brush. You're like, oh, it's caked with paint. That's bad. That's very bad.
All right. And I'm excited because the carrion crawler was super fun. And I love all the brownie, gross textures we got in it.
Yeah.
But I will say, after doing the myconids and getting all of the fun colors in the
I like
myconids,
colors.
I kind of miss the color. And so I'm excited to
Yeah.
get back to color. So blue time.
Yay, blue. I'm totally a color fiend. I enjoy colors as well in my miniatures. So, yep, I'm happy with that one. I'm going to grab straight up blue. So I'm using, it's called medium blue, but it's a classic primary blue color. Whatever you have at home will work. And we're going to do a mix of mostly blue with a touch of black and a touch of white. So you get sort of a grayish blue going. Because you can see what we have going on here, right there. It's not exactly a true bright blue. So again, I don't want to steer this into it looking cartoonish. So I want to get more of a gray blue going.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mix it on the other side of my palette over here. But again, I'm doing like a nickel size blop of blue. That's a technical term, a blop.
Yeah, because we have quite a few scales to cover.
We do, yeah. It's actually, no, I forgot we have eye stalks factored in. So I'm actually going to do a quarter size.
All right. Oh, I'll add a little
Make it
bit
a
more onto mine.
quarter to be safe. TBS, to be safe. And then I'm going to do what I've always done in the past. Just do a little dot of black, provided it doesn't bubble on me. Bit of black at the top. Do the same thing with a little white at the top. Bloop, bloop. It almost looks like a demented Cookie Monster right now on my palette. Like an abstract.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I totally see it.
Yep.
And then we're going to mix this up, and Cookie Monster's going to go, whoa.
Oh, dear Lord. So I'm going to take some black, and I'm going to introduce it to my blue on the side. I'm also going to pick up some white and introduce that on the side as well and start blending these all together. And I'm not looking to make this a hugely, drastically different blue. I am trying to mute the vibrancy.
Okay.
So when you add a grayish undertone to a color, it mutes its vibrancy.
Yeah, because that's definitely an underground blue. That's not
Mm-hmm.
a bright, bright spin out in the
No.
sun blue.
No, I'm going to grab a little bit more black here. And the reason why you balance black and white together is because if you keep adding black, well, you're just going to end up with a dark blue. But when you bring the white into it, it helps keep it more at the tone level you want it to be while getting a tint of a cooler tone, I guess is a good way to explain it. So that's more in the darker tone where I want it to be. And I'm going to just a touch more white. This is also why I have a
Meanwhile,
brush to mix. Yeah.
a couple more questions from chat came on in.
Mm-hmm.
Waji is giving us what is our weekly dose of the happy little meme.
Okay.
And we'll just paint a happy little bone plate there and there. Isn't that lovely?
I
Happy little
love
bone plate.
it. I love it.
Um, and the lurking writer says trailer voice. Oh, okay. I've been given voiceover instructions.
Oh. Now it's getting serious.
The newest, here we go. The newest spooktacular event coming to theaters this Liar's Night. Ruffles beholder is the Ice Cream Man. That was my off-camera.
I like
I hope
it.
you enjoy
I
it.
like that.
It's also
inspiration.
EYESCREAM man, which I do appreciate. So there you go. That'll be next week's trailer. I'll go ahead and get that animated up, and it'll be the Ice Cream Man.
I love it.
Kiwi Mischief is asking about the Phoenix deity for Orkira, which that is a story for another time. we should paint a Phoenix at some point. It would be fun.
I mean,
I would
yeah.
love to. I don't think a Phoenix actually shows up in the
fun.
game. I don't know if a Phoenix shows up in the game. I'll have to take a
Well,
look. I will take a look.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically now the Phoenix does, because if you get the Witchlight Orkira, you get the Phoenix. But
there you go.
that is a story for another time. Also, I've talked about that in some previous streams, so I will look that up for you, because it's a story and a half. And then finally, Crowlin72 wants to know, how fast does the paint dry when you're painting? Which is, it sounds like kind of a basic question, but it's actually kind of a really important question, especially when you're talking about stuff like, I'm going to paint next to this part where I'm painting next to this part. So that's a really good question.
So here's the fun thing about paint and drying in time. It depends on your environment and the type of paints you're using and the surface of the miniature. So it can take anywhere from about 5 minutes to sometimes it might even take 10 minutes, depending on the deep recesses of the miniature that you're painting. Like I know I purposely didn't shove anything in the back of this mouth again, because there's still a couple points that are still drying at this point, because it's like deep in the airflows around it's not as great. I find if I'm painting a miniature over the summertime, it might take a little bit longer because of the humidity where I live. However, I know someone who lives in Arizona, and in the summertime their minis dry so fast it's almost harder for them to blend because of how quickly the environment causes the paint to dry. So how long does it take a mini? Paint and find out is honestly the best tip I can give you. Make note as you start painting your miniatures, oh, this took me about so long to dry. And then you kind of get a feel for your own environment for how long something is going to take to dry. You have options to accelerate drying. Yes. Hair dryers, be careful, because the heat of the hairdryer can actually start to manipulate the plastic of the miniature, and they'll start to droop. They'll start to become misshapen. It will crack the plastic, because remember, the plastic is in the paint as well. So if you decide you want to use a hairdryer, yes, that's an option. Or even like an area heater. You can do that. Do not get it nearby. You want it to be like, if you're going to feel the breeze of whatever your source is, you don't want to feel the temperature on your hand, if that makes sense.
No, that does.
If you feel a breeze but no temperature to it, that's about the temperature that you could use for drying things.
Okay.
Yeah.
The opposite of an oven.
Exactly. So I'm going to take this blue, now that it's been, I thinned it out a little bit as well. And I'm just going to I moved to a number 1 brush because I don't trust my 3 brush right now near the mouth.
Yeah, that's true. I might do the same thing that I did with the yellow one, where I'll grab a smaller one.
Yeah, a smaller brush you'll find is a little bit easier. And I'm just going to go in and paint this blue on.
And same kind of thing. Don't worry too much about the spikes. Just try to be careful around the mouth.
Be careful around the mouth. Don't worry about the plates. Yep.
All right.
You got it.
You know what? I went with a smaller brush to just go around the mouth, and now I'm thinking, you know what? I might just stick
Yeah.
with this brush.
That's honestly because this area gets to be, there's a lot more details happening here. I think it's safe to say this is probably going to be the last color we're working with today because I'm looking, it's already for, well, where I am, it is 420. But that means it's what by you? 120?
It is 121. And so,
Hey, I
yes, we
converted.
yay. Yep, we've still got a little bit of time. We got about
Yeah.
40 minutes, but that should
I
but
think that's
once
gonna,
again, we're trying to be
yeah.
relaxing. We're trying to enjoy. We're trying to be nice and relaxed
Mm-hmm.
and not in a rush.
No, I don't want to rush
Now,
this.
are we doing all of the ones on top of the eye?
We are going to be doing basically everything up. So we're not going to paint the hat. We are going to paint the eye stalks. We're going to be painting the edging of the eye around the mouth and under the nose. We're going to be painting inside around the eyeball. So
Oh.
basically, we're blue. The daboo. It's going to be
Boo-da
going, yeah.
boo-dee, da boo-da da
Yep.
boo-dee.
We're going to be having fun with blue. And definitely around this area, I would switch to a smaller brush. Since I already started off with a smaller brush, I should be okay. I'm going to pull this out of frame because I cannot reach that angle I want to get with the camera in my face.
That's okay. I'm going to take a second while you do that, and I'm going to look at more questions. Once again, thank you to Martin and Mars for being our
Thank
moderators in chat. We
you.
really appreciate you. Kiwi Mischief makes a recommendation for the Phoenix, which is a Familiars episode, in which case, then we absolutely the mini of the Phoenix is probably not going to be the same size as a Familiar, as a Familiar is supposed to be like
No.
tiny,
They're
tiny, and the
wee.
Phoenix is gargantuan. But I agree with the sentiment behind that.
It's gonna be fun.
Also, I'm a fan of the Familiar version of the Phoenix that got made by our amazing artists because they even have the little purples on the
Oh.
edges of the wings. Because if you look into the Phoenix in history, they're not just like
Mm-mm.
big fire. Purple is actually a pretty important
Yeah.
color.
So this is just showing you what I did off camera. I'm gonna pull back off camera because this is tricky angles for me with the camera in front of me. But
Okay.
basically, it's getting the blue inside the eyeball. Again, if you get it on the eye, it's okay. But working it around that band, the eyelid,
Oh yeah.
tucking it inside the eye. I'm gonna work
All
that around.
right.
Yep. So I'm gonna pull off camera
And
now. I will say you're gonna want to rotate this because there's a little bit happening underneath here. See that streak of white right through here?
oh yeah.
Yeah, so you're gonna want to get that too with the blue.
Okay. And we also got Mimichu94745. Ever since I'm late, is that yellow piece naturally clear? Well, glad you could join us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're a 2 hour show, so whenever you can join us is great. You
Yeah.
can always catch up on the VODs. The yellow piece. So if you're talking about my holder, that's this is the pill bottle that I use. But yes, also that's
That
so
is the clear.
I made a mistake when I was priming and I accidentally primed over my eye stalk that is shooting out a ray. But yes, those
It is.
are
They're,
naturally clear.
yep. So you can have some fun with transparency and having the light play through. I mean, you can see my hand kind of playing around in the distance as I do that. It's a nice feature of the spell effects.
Yep. Whereas as I went to go prime the green stuff, and I
Whoopsies.
might have accidentally primed a thing I shouldn't have primed, but that's okay because I can go back
And
and I
do
can just
something
paint
else.
over it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, and I got some blue on my red, so I gotta fix that.
Okay.
There we go.
I do find this kind of becomes another like awkward angles that happen through here, which is why I don't paint the eyeball until the rest of the body is done. So it's going to be,
Yeah.
we'll do eyeball. It's probably going to be teeth, eyeball, nose will be the order of operations on the face.
Head, shoulders, teeth, eyeball, nose, teeth,
Right?
eyeball, nose. Yeah.
Change up the song.
There we go. The new song every time.
Mm-hmm.
Cassie's 335 says, would a medium-sized phoenix be in its teenager phase? I mean, it depends. Are we talking about the actual phoenix or are we talking about the phoenix in my game? In which case, I'm not going to answer that for spoiler reasons.
For reasons.
For reasons. Reasons. There are questions that I still have to ask my DM about things, but that's okay. That's half the fun. I am excited about Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be an interesting. Yeah, I'm excited that I'm not going to spoil anything, but After what happened last episode,
Mm.
even though we are still in very, very much a lot of peril, and even though last episode was a very emotional episode,
Mm-hmm.
and there's going to be ramifications from that episode for all of our characters for
Oh,
a very
sure.
long
Yeah.
time. There was a few good things that happened at the very
Oh,
end, and just before things went bad again, and I am excited. So
excited is good.
yeah. You know how sometimes things go bad and you're like, oh, this is the worst. Oh, this is the absolute worst. And then sometimes
Mm-hmm.
things go bad and you're like,
Okay.
okay, I can handle this. This is
Yeah.
this is a badness I'm prepared to handle for. And in D&D, yeah, we got over the badness and now we're up to the we can handle it badness.
Yeah. We're on it, badness.
We're on a badness. I am filled with avoiding spoilers for D&D shows and games
Good.
this week because
A
between
lot's happened.
oh yeah, well, and Critical Role
Mm-hmm.
happened, and a your show that you show up on a regular basis, Black Knight
Yep.
Society, has had
Yep.
some very interesting things happening.
Yes.
So yeah, there's been a lot of hey, if you would like to catch up, definitely take some time this weekend and go
Yeah.
catch up
This
on
is
these
this
shows.
this is the weekend to play catch up.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I just kicked my garbage can. I kicked the can.
Oh no. And now the show must come to an end.
Da-dum. I
Oh, trying to get into the crevices of all of these
yes. That's
scales is definitely a challenge. I'm
that's
glad that
yeah.
we're also painting the um eye stalks this
Mm-hmm.
color because that's making it a little easier.
It does. Yeah.
Although there's also a lot of the spikes that I've just like whoopsie. Well,
Good.
I guess you're now a blue for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay. Um Oh, and Banana Mobster, apparently everybody wants me to paint an Orkira or a Phoenix. Banana Mobster says maybe you should paint one of your Orkira figures with a Phoenix color scheme.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm not going
That
to
could
talk
be
about
arranged.
I that we could make that happen. I'm not going to. I once again spoilers
Well,
for Heroes of the Plains.
I'm just gonna throw this fact out here. I love doing fire effect.
Ooh, well, I think we'll have to look. Uh, I believe we are all figured out for
We
2021,
are.
but when we come
However,
back in 2022,
back and
uh,
better.
I like a lot of these plans.
Me too.
You know what? Getting away from my personal character, which I appreciate that you all like my character, but as far as other minis, we're trying to do minis that are in the game.
Mm-hmm.
However, this game has been out. Idle Champions of Forgotten Realms, by the way. This game has been out for a very long time. So the vast majority of at least the more common monsters
Mm-hmm.
are in this game in some way, shape, or form. So I have to ask the chat: is there a mini out there,
Ooh.
or a monster out there, or a creature, or a familiar, or something you would like to see us paint as a mini? Because I'm not lying when I say we're looking at what we're gonna paint coming up in
Mm-hmm.
2022. Can't believe
Oh
it's
God, that's
2022
a word
already.
that you just said.
That is a word. That is a sentence that just came out of my mouth that is both
That hurt.
amazing and horrifying.
That one hurt.
Um, yeah, so I would love to know if there are any creatures you would like to see us painting, and they'll. I will just flat out say you'll have a better chance of seeing it if it is a creature that appears in Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to avoid champions
Mm-hmm.
because those are a little harder to get.
Yeah.
Also, we can talk about Orkira because I'm right here, but
Right.
other champions. But there's 3 billion monsters in the game. What would you
Oh
like
my
to see?
goodness.
Waji says red panda on a unicycle. Like that's a kit bash that I'm here for. 100% red
I
panda on a
mean,
unicycle. Are there red panda minis?
no, but I know a guy.
But I know a guy. I know someone who deals in red panda minis.
I know a guy who might be right up that alley in terms of creating one for us if we
I
so choose. I'm just
I
saying.
love it. I love it. I
Just
love it.
saying. I am absolutely not worrying about getting this blue on the eye stalks. In fact, I kind of want to because when we go back in to edge out the white, it'll make it a nicer connection. Just a little quick side note while we're painting.
Oh yeah. actually, that's a good thing to come back to. When we're getting the blue on the eye stalks,
Mm-hmm.
are we trying to avoid the eyeballs on the stalks?
Nope. You can paint
Okay.
over those.
Okay.
Because when we go in to white it out, it'll actually, the blue will give the eyeball some depth for the undertone, but it'll also make it a more seamless meeting point of paint colors.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because you're painting over a color as opposed to edging to a color.
Mm. And overlap is always a little easier,
Mm-hmm.
at least in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness, these angles.
Yeah.
There's
The
so many.
lurking writer suggests a roving mauler, but I don't think there's an official mini for it. I
Oh
mean,
my.
we can take a look, but yeah, the roving
Mm-hmm.
mauler is definitely super cool. Trafalgar 123 would like a large rat, which that I think is a possibility.
I
I
mean,
would like
they're
to think
definitely
there's
rats.
yeah. I mean, I would like to think rat is not just a there's not just the rodents of unusual size kind of rats that
No.
you actually fight, but there's also rat is a fairly popular familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me if there is, if not a rat mini. I know oftentimes you can find like sets of small
Oh,
things. Like, all right, here's an entire set of familiars.
yeah.
So
Okay, I have to go off
maybe
camera.
go do what you got to do.
I gotta pull away from camera because there's no way I'm getting that curvature with a camera in my face. It's not
And this
happening.
this is your weekly reminder to please do what you can to try to sit comfortably, get a stretch if you need to. And I'm not just talking about mini painting, I'm talking about now as you're watching these
Mm-hmm.
streams. We often are doing things in order to do them to camera, but definitely do whatever you need to stay comfortable and not hurt yourself, stay hydrated,
Mm-hmm.
and take breaks when you want to. That's one of the other reasons that we go 2 hours on the stream and then we stop because you know
Yes.
what? It's good to take a break every once in a while. Yeah,
Totally
I'm gonna
agree.
get you. I'm gonna get you in there. It's
Get
gonna
it, get it,
happen.
get it, get it. Get in
All
there.
right. Lots of other suggestions.
Okay.
Kevin Bolwer says I would like to see some basic skeletons. Seems like a good mini to teach
They
everyone the
are.
basics of painting.
They
Ooh, yeah.
are. Actually, it's a great base color wash speed paint tutorial.
There's there are mini speed paintings like there are like other paintings.
You
Painting.
can paint skeletons quickly and effectively for your table. Um, like do like a whole bunch of them at once.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I also like the idea of doing creatures that are mostly all black or mostly all white
Those
because
are yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you get a lot of experience dealing with one shade of something, and it's not just an idea of like, oh, I'm just painting this thing black and then I'm done. I'm just painting this thing white and I'm done.
Yep.
So skeletons
Uh,
could be a lot of fun.
yeah. And here's the thing: we call things one color. Like what color are clouds?
They are white.
No, they aren't.
No.
If you look at clouds,
I know that
yeah,
I knew what you were asking for,
yeah.
but yes.
But our yeah, white clouds are gray clouds, something like that. But if you take your time to look at a cloud, you'll notice clouds have tones of green, blue, purple, pink, yellow, all within the different areas of how the light's hitting them and how the shape of the cloud is and everything like that. So even though you're painting a mini that's all black, it's not. You're actually
Mm.
dealing with purples, you're dealing with reds, you're dealing with blues, you're dealing with silvers and grays. So yeah, that's definitely a fun one to explore.
Yeah.
I like that idea. So people can see monochromatic or single color based characters actually do have a lot of detail work on them.
And I like the idea of like we're not in a hurry and I love that we're nice and relaxed and we can answer
Mm-hmm.
questions and if we decide that we want to
Mm-hmm.
take more time, we could just do another episode. I also do like the idea of like we're going to start this episode with an unpainted mini and by the end of it we're going to have it entirely done in 2 hours. This is
Yeah.
going to be the Jason Charles Miller and Dylan Wilkes, they can make an entire song in 2 hours. We can paint an entire mini in 2 hours. Let's
Oh,
do
totally.
this.
There
Totally do
are,
this.
yeah. I mean, there are minis you can absolutely finish in 2 hours.
Yeah. I love it.
It's not
Ooh.
necessarily relaxing, but yeah, you can.
I think every once in a while a speed painting is
Dun,
fun.
dun, dun, dun. Yep.
For those moments in where you're the DM who uses minis in your game,
And you need
and
a whole,
then it's the
yeah.
day before, and you're like, oh, I need to have
Uh-oh.
3 skeletons and I only have 2. It's time to paint one
Mm-hmm.
up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or if you're playing like Warhammer or something that involves like a
Right.
lot
Oh
of minis.
God. I will say, and people have asked me about these paints before. If you're going to be doing a bunch of Warhammer stuff and you have a bunch of minis to get going, Citadel contrast paints. I've heard very good things about assembly lineage, getting a whole bunch of minis painted at once.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's a very specific brand of paint, and you have to do a little research in terms of your colors starting and everything like that. So I'm getting to the back of this mini. Not yeah, I've been working around getting eye stalks and the top of the head, working around the hat and everything. But as I get to the back here, and there's a little bit more freedom, I am going to do the reverse feathering to get these two colors to play a little bit more with each other. So once I get these scales kind of painted up and getting in underneath where there's a little bit of white showing, right here, I'm going to take my brush and play around with that blue and bring it down just a little bit.
I'm still grinding out these eye stalks.
That's totally cool.
I did the thing where I'm like, that is a done eye stalk, and then I moved a little bit, and the
And
light
now
hit it in
I
a different way, and I went, that's no longer a done eye stalk. All right, here we go. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
The Lurking Writer had a suggestion for a mini that I think it would be a lot of fun. Is probably a kit bash, but one that we could do, which is the zombie T-Rex.
We could.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
We can do. What was it? The Lord of Feathers. It's something the that specific T-Rex that's in Schultz.
Yes, I
has a name.
It does, and I literally just played a game in Schultz and it got mentioned. I'm like, I don't remember it.
Yeah. Someone in chat will know.
Yeah.
Someone in chat will remember. But yes, I would love to do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would just love to do a T-Rex, but then like that zombie T-Rex would be super fun.
Mm-hmm. And that's some more green stuff. And quite frankly, you do green stuff. And well, wait, no, WizKids does have a T-Rex now, don't they? An unpainted T-Rex, so we could use that one.
Do they have a zombie T-Rex?
They might.
King of Feathers. Thank you.
King of Feathers. There we go. Maybe. Because Boneyard, I believe, had a zombie T-Rex pre-painted.
Ooh. Oh well, pre-painted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, still ooh, but for our purposes.
For our purposes, but it makes me wonder if maybe there might not be one in unpainted miniatures floating around. I can look into it. I shall investigate.
We will find that out. We got plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
Messy Duval says Displacer Kitties.
There are Displacer Beast minis, and
yeah, we could do a Displacer Beast.
You could also put the wings on it. Because there are butterfly, like you can get them off of Amazon, like toys.
Yeah.
You can get butterfly wings.
I love it.
And we could put that on after we finish painting them. So then we can do the lovely Displacer Beast from the Witchlight.
Yep. Or because we did talk about this week. If you missed it, coming in November, we're going to be doing our Extra Life charity drive, and the of the many things that we're going to be doing, one of the things is we're going to be selling a Displacer Beast kitty familiar for our charity drive. We showed the key art for that off this week, and I am super excited for when that comes out. So,
my God, it's adorable.
So we can do both. We could do the Witchlight Carnival Displacer Beast, and then we could just do a kitten. We could just do the most adorable kitty of all time. Oh
yes, I'm here for it. The cat lady. Okay, out from under the camera. The cat lady is totally here for that one. Yes.
The non-cat lady is totally here for that too.
I love how you can see how I'm holding it. I'm like, This is why having a camera in my face sometimes it no work.
Okay.
Yeah, that
slowly getting there.
Some of these are very much like you turn around, you're like, oh, I didn't get that part yet. I thought I did.
Well, and the eye stalk tentacles are wonderfully detailed in that they're not just round; they've got a
ridges and
the eye stalks have ridges. Everything has ridges. It's ridge central on this, and that is surprisingly easy to miss in certain lights, and where you're like, I got this. Oh,
no, I don't.
Nope.
Don't got.
Nope,
Yep.
missed a whole ridge.
Doing well, doing well, doing well. Wait.
Yep, but that's okay. That's why we left ourselves plenty
Absolutely.
of time.
Time
I am
is on our
definitely getting
side.
to the point in where I keep thinking I've missed something, and then I take another look, and I'm like, oh no, that's
That's
the
something
light
else.
shining off of something.
Yes, there's also that fun thing when the paint's still wet and it flares back at you, and you're like, oh, that's a white spot. Nope, no, it's not.
Yeah. Hmm. Not sure how well my feathering is going, but I'm liking
If
how the tentacles look.
and if you want, you can also like take it to dry brushing, and it's not. It's just like a row where you kind of have the splotching of the color bringing down. And when
Yeah.
we do dry brushing, it's going to get even further blended together because there is dry brushing that'll happen next week with this one. So we might be looking at 4 episodes for this fellow.
I'm okay with that.
Me too, because I'm enjoying all of this.
All right. Also, I don't know how much of this is just camera and how much of this is we used slightly different paints, but I love how your blue ended up kind of being almost more of a cobalt blue,
Mm-hmm.
and mine is a little bit of like a darker deep blue, but they both
Nice.
are evocative of that the beholder blue, and
Yep.
I really like how both of these are looking.
Me too. And
Ooh.
that's what's ooh? Tell me
Well,
about.
go ahead and say because finish what you're gonna say, and then I'll ooh.
And that's the one thing I always liked about doing miniature painting classes at conventions is even though you're teaching people how to paint the same mini, they all look different and unique in their own way, which is
Yeah,
fantastic to see.
just half the fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the large rat that was suggested for a creature that we could paint. We also have the lurking rider asking about a vorpal rat, and then Thaddeus came along and said an almirage. And not only do I want to do the regular almirage, but I want to do that
Spiky.
epic spiky almirage that Brig has.
Oh my
Because oh, that'd
god.
be amazing.
Spiky.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do spiky.
You're gonna have to. Oops. That's okay. I'm painting it later. Look, I totally just hiccuped with my brush. I'm like, yeah, and that's why I'm painting that towards the end.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I've done the same.
Uh huh.
I've got blue in places there should not be blue. Also, this eye stalk.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. There's a couple of eye stalks and where the eyes curl. If you're looking at the beholder from the front, it's obvious that they've curled down to get something in front of them.
Right.
But getting that section in between where the ball of the eye is and the curvature of the actual tentacle, like I'm having to thread the needle between other tentacles to get up into them, and it is a challenge.
Yep. Okay. It's funny because I keep holding this upside down. My sticky tack is not working as well. I have to keep pressing down. But oh yeah, there's lots of different angles and nooks and crannies, and it's one of those painting deals where it's like just keep swimming, just keep painting.
Yep.
Just keep painting.
Just keep going. Just keep going.
The only place I'll be a little bit more careful is around that spell effect because I've already got that painted up. But
well, and I guess in my case, that
you're
is the
set.
one. Yeah, that is the one easier thing. I didn't have to worry about the spell effect because I already primed it, so I'll take care of that later.
You'll revisit it.
That might be my off camera funness this weekend.
Yeah.
Is maybe I will repaint that spell effect.
You even paint it differently now. Oh.
So our the final creature that was suggested for painting comes from Mars, who wants to know about an invisible stalker. Hey, I got one right here. Hold on a second. It's still sitting on its base, but here you go. Here's my invisible stalker. I hope you enjoy it. Is it good? You like it?
You thought of that so well. I am here for that. Well played. Oh my god, that was very well played.
Oh,
on,
you're welcome.
I have tears in
All
my eyes
right.
from laughing.
Well,
That was excellent.
Let me go back to regular questions.
Mm.
Flanagan, if you want a level plus of well, let me try that question again when I'm not giggling. Flanagan, if you want a level plus of difficulty, try to paint with a cat at home.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Cats
Mm-hmm.
and children. Haggis buns. In my ideal world, someone could print out minis of what is made on the sketching hour so they could be painted on this show. Oh.
Oh,
My ideal world is your ideal world. Thank you very much. I love that
right?
idea.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, 3D printers are a thing.
They
And so
are.
what you're asking about is not necessarily out of the question. I don't know if that's something that we can do, but
Yeah.
it's definitely not ideal world, no, but it can happen. I mean, hey, if you have 3D modeled any of the
I
creatures that we've
mean,
created on the sketching hour, I definitely want to see it.
that was
That'd
what I
be
was about to say. Like,
amazing.
if any, oh, geez, keep it in frame. Um, I mean, I know it's a possibility and people can absolutely do it. So, you know, if you've gotten creative and you're creating minis with your 3D knowledge and know-how, just because it's not painted doesn't mean you can't share it in our paint and slay.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a very good friend who has a 3D printer and has been really enjoying 3D printing his own
Mm-hmm.
stuff, 3D printing, getting um, there's a lot of people who we're probably talking about some of the same people who
Yeah.
make 3D models of stuff that then you can get the plans for to 3D print at home.
Yep.
And they either are selling them or they're part of their Patreon or things like
Mm-hmm.
that. There's places you can commission that, and not just creatures, but terrain pieces
Yep.
and all sorts of stuff. So
Oh
there
yeah.
is, if that's something you want to get into, while I personally don't have a lot of information about that, I know there is a wealth of people out there who are doing amazing stuff. In where, yeah, you can go ahead and just 3D print find the piece that you want, make the adjustments where you need, 3D print it at home,
Mm-hmm.
paint it at home, be all set to go.
And Bulb's your uncle.
And Bob is your uncle.
You could even
On
paint
top
Bob
of
your
that,
uncle.
there is the there is always the places like Eldritch Foundry
Mm-hmm.
and Hero Forge and places like that that you can make your a custom character to be sent to you and then you can paint them or they
Yeah.
come painted. So like there are so many options now for depending on price points, depending on time commitments, depending on level of skill, depending on level of interest, all
Mm-hmm.
sorts of stuff.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
we are here filling a niche. Well, I shouldn't say niche, but like the idea of hey, would you like to just learn how to paint your own minis?
Yeah.
But there are so many other options too.
It's a whole world, miniatures.
Oh yeah,
It's a whole wide world.
and it's full of tiny little cracks that I keep missing.
I'm like, and it's got a lot of surface texture that I keep thinking I hit and I haven't.
Yeah, get in there.
But I have, like, we'll say two-ish stalks left because I have like a stalk to cover and another tip of a stalk to get with a detail brush because it's a spell effect one. But I'm happy because
Oh yeah,
I'm getting
definitely.
the stalks. We'll wrap with stock.
I think I've got most of the stocks done. I've got most of it where I want done in general, and now I'm just
Mm.
kind of I'm doing the look around of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I missed this spot right
Oops, I missed a spot. Oops, I
there.
missed a spot.
Missed this spot right
Yeah,
there.
it's a game. It is absolutely part of the game.
Yeah, the game in this case just being like, which way can I turn the mini? All right, which way
Mm.
haven't I not yet
Mm-hmm.
turned the mini?
What fresh
The real Bunny
angle?
Beast says, looking from this angle, if you'd used green instead of blue, you could make a pineapple beholder.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Now I kind of just want a pineapple. I'm just hungry.
You know, I'm hungry
Uh,
too because I'm like, pineapple sounded way too good and my stomach just grumbled.
mm,
Thank you.
yeah. And Kevin Bolware says we need a paint and slay rolling table like sketching hour where two minis are combined. While that is an excellent
Mm.
theoretical idea, I think because of the practicality, that might be a little more difficult. But I like the idea. It'd have to be a fairly small rolling
I,
table.
yeah.
It'd have to be something tiny because
Yeah.
otherwise, like
It get
that's
tricky.
oh yes, just to make sure that you had all of the appropriate stuff on hand. That could be really really
Mm-hmm.
hard. But theoretically, I think that's hysterical.
Amazing
If we
thought.
were doing like a giant paint day, and then
Oh,
instead
yeah.
of like, hey, we're gonna do this for 6 hours with a bunch of breaks and stuff,
Yeah.
and time to get up and
Move
move around and
around.
everything. And then we would do the rolling tables, except they would be like D4s, something
Mm-hmm.
a little more condensed. I think that could be a
Mm-hmm.
super fun, but for the moment,
Yeah, that would get tricky. Just by
yeah.
the nature of the project, not so much the idea. A little trickier to do with minis, but I like it.
It could be the kind of thing in where you don't think about the kit bashing part of it. Um you just do a rolling table for minis.
Mm.
Maybe we set up a rolling table that
Mm-hmm.
is, here are all the minis that we could paint in one day. No kit
Right.
bashing, no,
Right.
the skeleton, whatever minis that you think would be easy enough to do in one day with some basic paints. And
Oh yeah.
then we just do the rolling there. So that
Yeah.
could be fun.
That could.
Might be a little more harder for me to grab the appropriate spot from the game, though.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Pie Chuck wants to know, which brand of invisible paints did you use? Well, same brand that I've been using for all of our paints, which is the ones that you can find in our Discord. If you come to discord.gg/idlechampions and go to our Paint and Slay channel, you can find all of the things that we recommend that you get in order to paint along with us. It's a fairly small list. It's some basic paints and brushes, having some paper plates and paper cups, some paper towels, some Mod Podge, and a couple of other little things. I am using the exact stuff that's in that list. So if you want to paint along with me, you can join me for that. But yeah, I my partner Luke has a lot of other paint stuff because he's been super duper into painting. He's got an airbrush and everything, but
Nice.
for me, I'm just
Nice.
enjoying doing the stuff with what we got.
Yep.
And I just noticed that I was holding this up. I'm like, oh, I missed a spot right there.
Yeah, I am playing that game right now. Oops, I missed a spot. Oops, I missed a spot.
Yep.
Oops. And it's so easy with these because there's so many spots.
Oh, yeah. I am sure we're going to be done. I'm going to put this out to dry somewhere.
And you'll
In a
see
couple
more
hours, I'm going to
spots.
grab it and I'm going to be like, I missed a spot there.
Yep.
I missed a spot there. But that's
and
okay.
There and there.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely missed an eyeball area. Let's get that taken care of right now. Excuse me while I poke you in the eye, sir. How do you want to anger a beholder? You poke it in the eye. Which one?
There you
Any
go.
of them.
And that's how you both anger and then also win a fight against a beholder.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of very quick eye poking.
Mm-hmm.
Poking?
Poking. Polka.
Oh,
Polka eye.
poke.
Now that's a whole new beholder.
The polka
Polka
holder.
Polka holder.
Poke holder?
Polka
holder.
Polka holder.
That is surprising to say.
It is. I think my mouth just went like, I'm not sure if we're playing the game right, but okay.
All right, I'm gonna grab this one more spot, and then I'm putting it down.
I need
Put
to do
it
the
down.
same thing. I'm playing the same game.
We only have a couple minutes left
Yep.
anyway, and I need to stretch.
Yes. Okay. So
All right, everybody, stretch time.
Move it around. So yeah, I think we're gonna call it. Look at this lovely mixing that we've done. I'm gonna call it here for us because we're gonna want these to dry with all the little nooks and crannies we've just been painting. There's no way we can do any dry brushing yet. Not happening. Nor would I want to try and paint the bone plates or anything quite yet because there's running the risk of, yes, you go to put tan on and now suddenly it's like this weird grayish blue.
Yeah.
So we're gonna let this fellow dry. And basically next week we'll work on some dry brushing and then start getting into detail work. And probably the week after that we'll finish up some details and then do washes. So we're looking at 4 episodes, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
But,
I will adjust the calendar appropriately.
Yes, lovely. But I'm really, I'm having fun with this. So, here we go. I'll do a little comparison side by side here.
I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to join in on that. But yeah.
This has been so much fun, though. I'm really enjoying our clown beholders, ruffle beholder, and Electrum Wise.
I am too.
It's
I'm
hysterical.
super excited to see when
too.
this thing is done.
Me too.
The funny thing about it, especially right now with these colors and the extra bits and everything, if you were to hold this up to me, it might actually take me a minute to go, wait, that's a beholder.
Yeah.
Because we have literally made like this whole new creature and I am into it.
Me too. Oh, this
Let
is
me
so
see if
much
there's
fun.
any last second questions we can grab before we go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rolling tables should be done day of show, week or two in advance, so everyone can have time to get stuff, says Kevin Bolware.
Oh, fair.
I mean, that totally makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then for two other suggestions for things we should paint, Hearth Ling Idle Champ says an owl bear, which
Yes.
oh, that'd be so good.
I mean, we
Cassius
have.
335 says maybe paint a cleric of Mistra, which could be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But for now we're done
like
with
it.
our beholders, and we will be back next week with more beholder fun. And yeah, any last minute things we want to chat about, or are we going to graciously exit so that because I think there's something coming on after us.
Yes, we have fun coming along. There's another stream, so stick around for that. Enjoy, and
Is it Garwar? I need one of my
is.
lovely mods to tell me, is it Garwar that's coming after us? He's usually coming after us.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. I know today and yesterday got a little turned around with a couple of other things going on. Yep, Gar is next. So definitely stick around for Garwar's guide.
Absolutely,
to everything.
Be there for that.
Ask him to name a beholder,
please, because I want to hear, or make a song up.
We're gonna mix up all of the shows.
Everything.
Every show. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get going on.
Okay.
Thank you, V. This has been super fun as always.
Yes,
thank
absolutely.
you to chat and moderators and everybody. And we'll see you next encounter. Anything else you need to talk about?
No, I just think come back so you can see how our terrifying clown turns out.
Bye.
Bye.